Welcome back to Tuesday Traffic Jam. We're glad you could join us during rush hour traffic. You may remember me from episode 1. I'm Alvimarie, Principal Planner here at the MPO. I'm here with my co-host, Ryan. You may remember him from the last episode.
Thanks, Avi. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be back. On today's episode, we're going to talk about safety, security, and project delivery. Before we begin the show, we want to take a few minutes to address some of the comments we've been receiving so far. A lot of the comments that we've received on the podcast thus far have been very positive. We're grateful for that. Also, people expressed a lot of interest in congestion, mobility, technology, and autonomy. We're happy to see people interested in transportation and pleased to announce that our next episode will be about these topics. So keep watching because the best is yet to come.
That's right, Ryan. We have a great lineup for remaining episodes, so we ask that people be patient, keep watching, and enjoy the ride. Today, we're shaking things up and going on a little tour to visit 2 of our high crash locations and 2 projects that derive from our planning studies, Barrier Island Traffic Study, and Central Manatee Network's Alternatives Analysis. Later, we have a special guest to talk about projects and delivery from the state's perspective. So everybody buckle up and away we go. Our first safety project is our second most dangerous intersection, Cortez Road and 14th Street. Recently, a blankout sign has been added to this traffic light. This blankout sign changes with the lighting to instruct cars to yield to pedestrians. As you can see, a bicyclist was able to cross Cortez Road without being hit by the cars turning right. Here you see the sign blank out, hence the name, indicating to cars that they are allowed to turn on red when it is safe to do so. After the installation of this sign in late 2018, there has been a 90% reduction in right-hand turn crashes, and this is a great indication that this safety measure is working.
Our second safety project is important for the region because it is the gateway to Sarasota or Manatee County from the airport. Whether you're driving on US 41 to the airport or leaving the airport to go to US 41, you'll utilize the US 41 University Parkway intersection. This intersection is a high crash location and one of the MPO's key corridors in our long-range transportation plan. It is important for our residents and visitors to pass through this intersection safely because it is a key connector to the airport as well as universities and cultural art areas along US 41. Moving on to some projects that are programmed as a result of our MPO studies, let's take a look at the Coon Key Bridge. This bridge improvement was a recommendation from our 2019 Barrier Island Traffic Study, and bicycle and pedestrian improvements are just as important as replacing the bridge as it connects the mainland to the islands.
Our last project is a recommendation from the 2018 Central Manatee Alternatives Analysis. This new install light and crosswalk project was accelerated because of reduced traffic due to COVID-19. The CMNAA recommended these crosswalks because people would unsafely cross there to access the courthouse and county building on Manatee Avenue. These new crosswalks provide a safe route for bicyclists and pedestrians to cross over State Road 64 eastbound and westbound. I hope you enjoyed our little tour. As previously mentioned, we have an expert that will talk about some topics the MPO is very passionate about, safety and projects. As we know, these 2 are not mutually exclusive. So please welcome Jennifer Marshall, Environmental Administrator with Florida Department of Transportation. Jen, will you please take a minute to introduce yourself and share what you believe is the biggest transportation challenge we face today?
Hi, thank you. My name is Jennifer Marshall. I am the Environmental Administrator for FDOT District 1, and that means that I'm responsible for planning and environment studies for the entire 12 counties that are within our district. And when I say planning studies, I mean more specific planning studies that lead to design and construction projects. I've been an engineer for over 20 years, and I have experience in planning, PD&E, design, construction, and maintenance. And I think that one of the biggest challenges facing transportation today are trying to balance the needs of everyone, really having holistic solutions. And that means all modes, from transit to pedestrians and bicyclists, and of course, vehicles. We need to also make sure that we're trying to match the vision of a community with the whatever transportation improvement needs that they need, as well as looking at future development and economic considerations with the need to have preservation for the environment and to make sure we're implementing those protections.
Thanks for being with us here today, Jen. As you may know, the MPO strives to produce project recommendations from each study that we want to fund. The most recent ones being the Central Manatee Network Alternatives Analysis and the Barrier Islands Traffic Study. We just took a tour of two of the projects from those studies. Can you talk about any short-term recommendations that have recently been funded or are in the pipeline?
One of the projects that came out of the Central Manatee study that I know is very important to your community are the downtown Bradenton improvements, which essentially deal with improving circulation in downtown Bradenton. That project is currently in design, which is great because that gets us that much closer to construction. I've also been talking with both Longboat Key and Sarasota regarding two roundabouts that we're looking at for funding opportunities and reviewing preliminary concepts. And those roundabouts are Broadway Street on Longboat Key and Boulevard of the Arts roundabout in Sarasota. And then we're also just working with you all, MPO staff, to review your priorities to see if there's any way that we can further streamline projects or clarify scopes that get us even closer to getting projects on the ground.
Those are great projects that will benefit our region. Jennifer, can you explain what the department looks for when they decide to program these projects?
Thank you. One of the things that we look for in particular is need. And typically that need is documented in planning documents such as the MPO's Long Range Transportation Plan. We also look at the priorities of local agencies. We see if there's ways that we can assist them for their local projects where they may use local funds to match or federal funds through special programs. And then we also just look at specific areas in the district such as safety or rail needs when we're looking at programming. In the area of safety, with safe routes to schools, et cetera, sometimes we're looking for interim or temporary solutions, but many times we're also looking at long-term solutions as well. And funding opportunities really become a big component of how we're putting in projects. And I mentioned earlier, there are grants that are available that can assist local agencies in particular, like the Sun Trail Grant Program. I know that this area takes great use of that with implementing their trails. We look for the ability for locals to match and also the available of federal and state funds.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. We appreciate you providing some insight into the short-term implementation of study projects, as well as providing a closer look into how bike ped projects are selected and funded. The MPO has also funded bicycle pedestrian studies and projects that center around complete streets and multimodal corridors. Projects like these reduce bicycle and pedestrian injury and crash risk up to 50%, depending on the type of mitigation strategy used. I'd like to close the interview with one last question. What is the best way to incorporate safety into all of our projects?
When looking at safety, we need to make sure that we are accommodating all of our users, from vehicles to pedestrians and bicyclists to even transit users. In this area, the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists is especially critical. Rapid flashing beacons and hawk signals that help people cross the road, as long as mid-block crossings, are great ways to alert drivers to the presence of these users and allow them to cross safely. There's also a great commitment from our state, from our state secretary down to our local district, to provide facilities for pedestrians and bicyclists to use in the form of trails and sidewalks. And those really, really make a difference. And I just want to say we appreciate the MPO and the Sarasota Manatee area for your commitment to trails and pedestrian and bicycle facilities.
Thank you, Jen. And thanks for taking the time to have a deeper dive into safety, security, projects, and delivery. If anyone has any questions or comments, as always, you can leave them in the comment box below. Don't forget to let us know how we did, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer, for spending time with us here today during your Tuesday traffic jam. If you go to www.mympo.org, you will see here at the top, how would you spend $5 billion on transportation? Below are some buttons. The first will take you to the community needs map, where you can drop a pin on any location and leave a comment. and the other button will take you to the Tuesday Traffic Jams webpage where you can see a list of all available episodes. Here you can click the participate button for each episode and watch the podcast and download the documents that are available for you to review and comment.
So before we go, the next episode of Tuesday Traffic Jam will be posted on August 11th. In the meantime, don't forget to check out the available planning documents and let us know what you think. On that note, thank you everyone again for joining us for Tuesday Traffic Jams. Have a great day, and whether you drive, walk, bike, or ride transit, please be alert and stay safe.